Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? June 23rd, Tuesday, June 23rd, the financial news. This is the daily show of the financial news. And just to remember our agreement, we are looking to get 100 thumbs up on each and every one of the weekly, daily financial news shows or episodes. And if we do that, we will go ahead and give you an hour of my Saturday to talk to you live and answer your questions. So do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. But also, we need to go back to Sunday because last I checked, we were at 94. And as my old sales boss used to say, 94 is not 100. And that means we are short of our goal. So I trust enough of you will go back and hit that thumbs up that we will get there. So if you have questions that you want me to address, make sure you put them in any of the weekly shows, the daily financial news, and I will prepare Friday and we will just do it again. Last Friday we had 20 or 25 questions. We just ran through them and it was fun. And hopefully we covered lots of different topics. Again, I answer all the questions asked, even if the answer is, I don't know. So again, if you have questions you'd like someone to answer who's been in real estate for 20 years as a buy and hold investor, never lived in this market, right? You know my story by now. So let's get to 100. And let's also go back to Sunday and make sure Sunday gets there, because that would be disappointing to not get to 100 on Sunday. Also, remember, I'd love to interview or have new investors interview me. I get all the time questions. Can you help me? Can you do this? Can you do that? And at this point, I can't say yes to everyone. But if you're a new investor, you're willing to generate 10, 15, 12, whatever questions, and you're comfortable doing it on Zoom, we will do an interview. I'll answer all the questions. I may genericize some of the answers so it helps others. But that's one way you can get direct, I don't know if you want to call it mentoring or questions or virtual coffee or whatever you want to call it. And we will share it and hopefully help others, right? We're in this together. And if I can find a way to help you individually and yet help the hundreds of people that will watch it after you, that's worth my time. So if you're open for that, leave an email or reach out to me, one of the hundreds of different ways, and we'll move forward. So the daily financial news. Where do I want to start? Why don't we start with yesterday evening's kind of whipsaw after hours. I don't know if you watch after hours. Generally, there's not market moving stuff, but yesterday it was, and it was kind of entertaining there for about a half hour. Basically, Peter Navarro, who's basically overseeing the China trade agreement, was interviewed on a network and asked kind of specifically, what do you think of the trade deal? And his answer was, it's over. That seems kind of black and white. It doesn't, there's like no ambiguity. He said it's over. It wasn't like a long sentence where press comes in and sometimes takes out just the words and there's context and all this nonsense in the fake media. I actually went back and watched the interview, a clip of it, just to make sure that what really happened. And he was asked a long, meandering BS question about the trade agreement. He basically said it's over. And of course, if you don't know what happened, the futures market tanked because China's the second largest economy, blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, like 30 minutes later, he comes out via Twitter, I think first, kind of correcting his it's over statement. I can imagine the tongue lashing that he got in that first 30 minutes from the powers that be, which is interesting, and the stocks came back. But I don't know, right? I think, I don't know, the China trade deal, the agreement's in phase one. There's certainly no talk of phase two. Remember when we talked about that 9 or 10 months ago? Where's phase two? Where's phase two? Man, seems to have gone on the back burner. So I don't know. It seems to me that the trade deal is over, and they're just trying to manage the message a little bit better. So I think it's I think it's just comedy sometimes. Really, the most important news of the day, I gave you this heads up on Sunday, and we got this one right. New home sales surprised to the upside in a big way. Remember, last month, this was the first indicator of something fundamentally changing. Last month, it was supposed to be down 20%. It was up almost 1%. This month, it was supposed to be up 2%. I'm rounding, and it was up 16%, and that is new home purchases. One big difference between new homes and existing homes, which was yesterday, existing homes was down bad. I forget, like 28% or something terrible. Those are existing homes are closed contracts. Sure, they'll change their mind, whatever. So there is a difference. But again, the data is consistent on new home sales, and they were up 16.5%. This is very clear. Big cities, San Francisco, New York, in trouble. The masses are moving to the suburbs. Space is good. Yard is good. Office, playground, school. I mean, we have to do so much more in our houses now. That's where people are going. And lots of things were interesting. First off, what do we got? Year over year was up 12.7%. That's significant, right? Year over year, not month on month. Year over year was up 12.7. Prices were up, probably to be expected. Last month they were down slightly, as you would expect. The low end was getting a little bit more bid. Prices were actually up about $5,000. They were up to 317 from 312. And big news here is in the Northeast, right? New York. They were up 45% in May. So again, I think it is very clear that we are seeing consumer change. Space is good. We are seeing apartment folks leave, and you're seeing all the extra data. Rents are down, leases are down. There's all of these things, but they go somewhere, right? People don't just stop living in an apartment and live in their car, at least most of the time. These people here are at the high end, Class A, and now they're going to become homeowners. Big change. Millennials, big change. And I think this change continues, especially as mortgage rates, again, under 3%. Just unfathomable. So that is pretty interesting. For those of you in the stock market, man, I hope you're in the Nasdaq. Nasdaq's at a record high. When I was taking my notes, it was at 10,130. I don't know where it is right now, but pretty hard to believe Nasdaq's at a record when we are in the middle of a pandemic. I totally get technology. I do realize that 5 stocks make up 20% of the S&P, but you know, it's just interesting to watch. As someone who's lived in the Silicon Valley, lived through the dot-com craziness, I see lots of similarities. Next up, we do have an interesting partnership brewing in the kind of REIT and retail area. I don't know if you're watching this, but I am. Simon Properties, potentially in this case partnering with Brooksfield, another large REIT, are talking about actually buying JCPenney's. And it's interesting to kind of connect the dots why they're doing that. Well, because JCPenney's makes up a large percentage of their income. And the anchor store, which JCPenney is in most malls, is one of the reasons that hold the other smaller stores there. There are often clauses in contracts that talk about if an anchor tenant leaves, those smaller stores can either break their lease or adjust, anything of that nature. So Simon Properties has been linked to several retail chains here recently. It will be interesting to see what they do. And if they keep moving even on half of the retailers that I have connected them to, you could see them spinning off another REIT within themselves just on retail. It's pretty interesting. There is I think, a market moving meeting today that I don't think the stock market is paying attention to. These are all the health experts, Fauci and Gottlieb probably, and all these people that we've probably heard so much from. They're going to be talking today on one of the health hearings, and I generally assume their tone is going to be negative. When has a health official come out and had anything good to say, right? They're almost always geared negatively, right? They all hope and wish for the best. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but they're geared that direction. So I don't think the market is paying attention to that. They could be saying second wave and hot spots and just other nonsense. I read something the other day about we're basically back to stage 0. This whole shutdown was for nothing, which was infuriating when I read that. So we'll see. Part of me just expects one of them, if not multiple of them, to say something to spook the market. And I don't know if it's good news or just is news. I don't think they're malicious. I really don't. I just think they look into the future and don't see good things. And they're going to be on a platform to say that with a microphone in front of them. And then it's going to be repeated over and over and over again. So interesting to watch. Wirecard, we first talked about them, I think, Thursday or Friday last week when $2 billion disappeared. This is a German transaction processor, I guess. Well, first we talked about the CEO quitting, just snap. But now he's been arrested, right? He's been arrested. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Wirecard, at this point, my guess is they stop exist. Their brand is done, toast. It's really going to come down to, is it worth saving, right? Is somebody going to come in and buy it for the IP or maybe the technology or something? But I suspect Wirecard is not in existence in 30 to 45 days. And I say that not knowing any of the bankruptcy laws in Germany. For all I know, you can't file bankruptcy for 6 months, but their brand is toast. And looks like they're going to put their CEO in an orange jumpsuit. I don't know if Germany wears orange. Maybe they wear red. I don't know, but doesn't feel good for him at this point. Big news out of Apple. They're going away from the Intel chip to their own for Mac, which is interesting, and just shows their consistency of being vertically integrated, right? The App Store and things of that nature. We just got a comment here that somebody just bought a property in Atlanta. Congratulations! I hope it's a great deal. American Airlines. Again, I talked about this yesterday. Man, we are just issuing debt and shares, and there's so much money in the system now. They successfully sold 74.1 million shares at $13.50. Again, I connect American to the Hertz playbook. Hertz unfortunately declared bankruptcy. I bet you if Hertz didn't declare bankruptcy, they could have sold a gazillion shares and avoided it. It's just too bad. In the end, I think the Fed is being fast and furious with liquidity, and that liquidity is sloshing around and looking for a home. So it is not good. So in the end, there's going to be a price to be paid for these liquidity, and right now it's asset inflation. I just got a question about rents and prices. There's not really a connection directly. There is for apartments, obviously, but not for houses where I focus. So in the end, we nailed it today. New home sales were up in a big way. Again, we see homeowners, millennials, first-time buyers, Class A apartment dwellers leaving, and it's going to hurt multifamily owners for sure, especially Class A. Class A is always the safest, right? Right now, they are the ones with the asset and income statements to buy. They've decided to live in an apartment. Now, many of them are like, you know what? I don't like listening. I don't like being near my neighbors. I want a place for my kids and all that stuff. So in the end, that's what's going on for the day. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will, of course, talk to you tomorrow. Don't forget about the thumbs up. Take care. Bye.